All right, so if you're building any kind of product right now, you are definitely thinking about AI. But how do you actually go beyond just tacking on a feature and design a truly intelligent product? One that users actually trust and love. Today, we're going to break down a really practical framework to help you do just that. And it all kicks off with a massive shift in how you think.
And this is it. This is where it all begins. For decades, we've designed systems that are totally predictable. You click a button, and the exact same thing happens every single time. That's a deterministic world. But AI? It works on probability. It gives you what's likely to be the right answer, not a guaranteed one. And you know what? That one little difference changes absolutely everything about how we design.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. With traditional design, on the left, you're basically a choreographer. You're defining every single move, every state. But over on the right, with AI design, you're more like a coach. You're not calling out the exact play-by-play. Instead, you're setting the rules, the guardrails, and guiding this dynamic system toward a good outcome. The user's control isn't direct anymore. It's all about giving feedback.
So if you're going to be a good coach, you've got to know what kind of game you're even playing. You hear the term AI thrown around for everything, but not all AI products are the same, not even close. They have totally different goals, which means they need completely different design playbooks.
So here's a way to kind of map out that whole landscape. We can basically group AI products into 5 main categories, and each one is defined by the core value it delivers. Are you helping your user create something? Well, that's generative. Are you helping them decide something? That's predictive. Or are you helping them delegate a whole task? That's agentic. Figuring out your product's true mission is the absolute first step.
Knowing the categories is one thing, but actually designing for them? That's the real challenge. So let's do a deep dive into 3 of the big ones, generative, predictive, and agentic, and really see how their core mission shapes the entire user experience you have to build.
First up, generative AI. The absolute best way to think about this interface is as a co-pilot's workbench. See, it's not just a simple tool. It's a collaborative space, a place where the user and the AI are building something new together. The whole design has to feel like a creative partnership.
So what does a good workbench actually need? Well, for starters, a big front and center prompt area. That's how the user tells the AI what they want. Then you need tuners, little controls like sliders for style or toggles for different formats that let the user steer the output. And this one is crucial, an iteration history, so the user can jump back and explore different creative paths. And of course, you need a canvas where the creation actually comes to life.
So what's the point of all this? The bottom line for generative AI is that success is all about velocity and quality. Does your interface get the user from a totally blank page to a really great starting point as fast as humanly possible? Your UI isn't just a tool here. It's got to be a creative accelerator.
Okay, let's switch gears. We're moving from creation to decision-making. For predictive AI, the whole metaphor changes. We're not at a creative workbench anymore. We are in front of an intelligent dashboard. The AI isn't a co-creator now, it's more like an analyst, giving the user foresight so they can make a better, more confident choice. And the focus of this dashboard isn't really about input. It's all about justification. You need clear charts and graphs, not just a bunch of numbers. You need what we call trust builders, things like confidence scores that tell the user, hey, the AI is 95% sure about this. But the most non-negotiable part? An explanatory panel. You have to explain why the AI is making a certain recommendation. Without the why, it's just a black box nobody will ever trust.
And this gets to something super important about measuring success. For predictive AI, it's not just about how accurate your model is. A 99% accurate model is completely useless if your user doesn't trust it enough to do anything with the information. Success here is about trust and impact. The real metric is whether your user was willing to act on the prediction you gave them.
And finally, let's get to the most complex category, agentic AI. This is next-level stuff. Here, the user isn't creating and they're not just deciding, they're delegating. The perfect metaphor here is a mission control center, where the user is overseeing an autonomous agent that's carrying out a whole complex job for them.
Designing a mission control center is all about 2 things: process transparency and user control. You have to literally show the agent's plan step by step as it's happening. The user needs giant, obvious buttons to pause or even veto the whole operation, so they always feel in charge. And you get rid of simple save buttons and replace them with confirmation gates, which force the user to make a conscious choice before the agent does something irreversible.
So how do you know if an agent is successful? It all comes down to autonomy and reliability. How well can it get the job done without a person having to step in? And that's your key metric, the intervention rate. The fewer times a user has to jump in and course correct the agent, the better your product is. Simple as that.
Okay, so we've seen 3 very different ways of thinking about design. But what's cool is that underneath all those differences, there's a set of universal patterns that you can apply to any AI product you build. Think of this as your essential toolkit for making AI experiences that are safe, effective, and trustworthy.
Here's your checklist. Number 1, wayfinders, which are just little hints like prompt templates to help people get started. 2, clear inputs, so the AI knows what the user wants. 3, tuners, to let them refine and tweak the output. 4, trust builders, things like source citations that build confidence. And finally, number 5, governors. These are the critical safety controls that give the user the final say.
So, you've got the toolkit in hand. Now, how do you actually start putting AI into your product? It's really tempting to just jump to the craziest, most advanced tech, but trust me, a strategic, step-by-step approach is almost always the better way to go.
And if you take away only one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Start with a real user problem, not with the cool new technology. AI is an incredibly powerful tool, but it's still just a tool. Its only purpose should be to augment what your user is already doing and solve their problem better, not to add a bunch of complexity just for the sake of it.
A great way to think about this is with a 3-tier strategy, and we strongly recommend starting at Tier 1. Augmentation. Just find a workflow that already exists in your product and use AI to make it a little faster, a little smarter. It's low risk, it gives users immediate value, and it helps you build the trust you're going to need before you move on to full automation or eventually a totally transformative new feature.
And as you're building, there are 2 principles that are just non-negotiable. The first is trust and transparency. You have to fight against that black box feeling at every single turn. That means giving simple explanations, showing confidence scores, and citing your sources. You have to demystify how the AI is thinking.
And the second non-negotiable? Control and correction. You always have to remember, the user is the pilot, the AI is the co-pilot. That means the AI's output is just a starting point, something the user can always edit. You need dead simple feedback loops, like a thumbs up or thumbs down, so users can literally teach the system. They have to feel like they're in the driver's seat, always.
So let's just bring this all home. When you design for AI, your job fundamentally changes. You're not just designing a series of screens or mapping out a user flow anymore. You're designing a relationship, the communication, the trust, the collaboration between a human being and an intelligent system.
And that leaves us with one final question. This is the question that should guide all of your work. When your user interacts with the AI you've built, what will they feel? Will they feel a sense of empowerment and control? Or will they feel lost and confused? The answer to that question, at the end of the day, is what will define whether your product succeeds or fails.